The police end up watching the cameras, and
nah, you ain't doing nothing.
at the end of it,
And not just mama get the hands, 2 of her workers is in jail.
Hey guys, hi YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So there's a video that went viral of this African braider who completely lost it. They had agreed that the black lady would pay about $200 for her hair, and when she got there and everything was done, the lady told her that she needed to pay $250 because she had to use this other type of hair or whatever on her. And what happened was just really uncalled for, and it was so unprofessional and just like, what the F, you know? She literally dragged this lady from her scalp, you know, freshly braided hair, like grabbing it, and lost it and locked her in the building. And she was like, you're not leaving until you give me the $50. So this video, it was just really hard to watch, you know. As somebody who's dealt with my own trauma with hairstylists, I was just like, yep, that's why I do my own hair, because I got so fed up in the past couple of years that I learned how to do my own hair because I dealt with so much unprofessionalism when it came to a lot of hairstylists. This there was like a few African ones, but most were Black American ones. And you guys all saw the movement where they were trying to boycott everything African. And it's like now they have a reason to, because they have videos like that. You know, I apologize to that lady because she was very well put together and she explained everything. And you can see that she really was like, what the heck happened? Like, you know, this was just so uncalled for. You know, these 3 ladies were ended up being arrested because they pretty much attacked her. You know, there's no need to be putting your hands on somebody, and especially over $50. It was so bad to watch, and it made, you know, Africans look bad. And I'm not saying that this is how we all behave, obviously not, but one bad seed can ruin it for everybody, right? As they say. So now we have a lot of people talking, and now for the Black people that were trying to boycott African things or African stores and all that stuff, now they have a reason to say this is how they behave. It looked like somebody who came from a freaking zoo up there just going crazy over on this lady, and this lady didn't even really do anything to her. Like, literally. There's a way to deal with stuff. You know, if somebody says, hey, they're not paying you something, okay, let it be. $50, what is that? If somebody was like offering, like, I can give you $50, like, it's not that serious. You did not need to put your hands on this lady over $50. So for me, I was joking that maybe some of the drinking they were offering clients, maybe she had some of it, because the behavior just did not match what happened, you know? And it just really looks bad, you know? It looks bad. And a lot of African hairstylists were coming on and saying, apologizing and saying, this is not who we are, you know. And one lady really stressed how you come to a country that's given you so many opportunities to do your thing, and you act like this, because now they were talking about maybe deporting her and stuff like that. And it's unbelievable, guys, over something so small. Like, literally, I'm sure she has enough. Like, what is the $50? You know, I've had my share where, you know, I started doing my own hair because a lot of hairstylists, you know, were late. You know, you tell them one thing and they say, yeah, they can do it. And then they were not able to do it. You come back with a different style than what you asked for. I had some that did not communicate to me. You know, they had stuff to do and I had to wait. You know, the ones that were overbooking and all that. So I've had my share of hairstylists. And honestly, it's been peaceful to be able to do my own hair in my house. And I could get exactly what I want. You know what I mean? So this whole video just gave me just the ick, and it gave me just goosebumps. I wanted to be like, girl, why did you grab that lady? Why did you grab her by the hand? Like, what were you trying to do? It looked like you had some personal thing going on with her already. Like, the anger was just uncalled for. And so now you have somebody, and now you went to jail, you have a record over something that could have been avoided altogether, you know? And just to even the thought of having to maybe be deported over something like this is just ridiculous. Like, I'm sure she has a family to feed, you know, this is her business and all that. Now look at that. Now you might lose all of that over something so stupid, you know? Sometimes we have to take a moment to just sit back, calm down, and then deal with the situation. You know, locking somebody in a building over $50, like, really? At some point, especially when you have a text message showing that you guys agreed on this. You know what I mean? Usually, you know, you send pictures to the hairstylist, you tell them what you want, they give you a price. The price can change, but it has to change based on something that's like, whoa, you know, you wanted braids and all of a sudden you want like a weave. Something like that. And talk about prices and all that. And if there's some kind of disagreement, you stick to what the text message said, because text message can be used in court. Obviously, the lady has a screenshot. She had the proof that this is what they agreed on. And when things didn't go your way, you were like, oh, you're going to give me the $50, grabbing it. And it's like, I just was like, was it that serious? But for me, it just gave me the ick. It gave me the chills because I remember the stuff I've dealt with when it came to hairstylists. It's just what is happening with a lot of hairstylists anyway. Like, it's out of control. You know, there's so many rules. There's this and a lot of them are like, you know, promising that they can do one thing and then they do. And then some of the prices I also believe are ridiculous. But that's just my personal opinion on what I've dealt with. I'm not saying that this is an excuse for what happened to this lady. If anything, it shows, you know, that African lady needed to be medicated, locked up somewhere, you know, and given the grippy socks, because that she flipped out like somebody who something was done to that was so bad. You know, I don't understand. The story didn't add up to me. I'm like, where did he go from 0 to 100? It didn't make any sense, you know? And it's just like, you literally agreed to something. So you have to finish. It doesn't matter. If you agree to 250, you agree to 250. If it's 200, it's 200. You already said it. That's why you have to be, as a stylist, be professional. Have your list of prices. Discuss everything with the client that they want. Like when you say, I want braids, I want the mid-back, you know, I want them this size, blah, blah, blah. You send pictures and you talk about this and you have your proof that this is what you agreed on. So, and if even the, you know, the person you're doing hair for starts acting up and doing all that stuff, you have the right to stop everything and be like, you know what? I'm going to call the police at this moment. You're getting violent, blah, 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 blah. You have the right to refuse service if somebody's acting a certain way. But here in this case, it was the other way around. And, you know, there was other two hairstylists, African hairstylists that were on TikTok also that had an issue where there was a Black American lady that came on and said, you know, she was treated really badly and she didn't get the style that she wanted and blah, blah, blah. Now there's at least a few videos where Black people can be like, Black women can be like, this is how African women or African braiders act, you know? And also there was points where they started talking in their language, and that is rude, you know? You could talk in your language in your own time, but when you're servicing a client that speaks English, you need to be able to speak English with them and so they know. You know, a lot of times I didn't like nail salons because I didn't like how sometimes a lot of the Asian women would speak their language and I didn't know if they were talking about me. It made me feel some kind of way. So I understand how it feels to be sitting there getting your hair done or whatever, and you have people speaking their own language and talking. And some African braiders love to be on the phone yelling in your ear. And that's one thing that drove me nuts. I had an African lady one time that told me to wait almost 30 minutes because she had to go take care of her kid. I understand. You know, at the time I didn't have a kid, but now I understand it. But still, it's like there's a level of professionalism that you have to have when you open a lot It's a business. No matter what the heck is going on with your personal life, you don't bring it to where you are. You know, I give credit to a lot of a lot of American businesses who abide by that, who they said it's 9 to 5. They open exactly at 9. You know, when they say, hey, we're going to get, they're going to give you a service, they stick by that. And I feel like sometimes, you know, a lot of African braiders and a lot of African stores and things like that can really learn from that. There is a level of professionalism that you have to go by when you open a business in this country. You know, if it's in Africa somewhere, who cares? But when you have so many different people coming in, you have to be able to accommodate in so many different ways so that, you know, your business does well. You know, it's not just like, I don't care if I don't talk to you or whatever. Like you've seen this, I did a video where I was ranting about you walk in African stores and sometimes you get treated so bad. You're like, you know what? I'm not coming back here again. You know, it's like literally, you know, we're going to be coming back there to buy the fufu and all that stuff. And you're acting a total mess. Like, thanks to this lady, now they have another arsenal, something to work with and say that they're mixing up Black, you know, I can't talk. That now they have a reason to say that African braiders are horrible and they have a reason to boycott. Thanks to this video. You know what I mean? I just was like, that was so bad to watch. It was so bad to watch.